Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com, and in this video we're looking at a watch from Hamilton, the Hamilton Khaki Pilot Pioneer. So if you're new to this channel, this is where we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, as an authorized dealer. In this video, I'm going to be handing it off to my colleague, Danny Milton. He loves all things Hamilton. I don't even know how many watches he has in his collection from Hamilton at this point. Go through all the details, give you everything you need to know, final considerations at the end. Also though, if you have questions about this watch, in addition to that, looking to buy it, link will be in the description down below. Without further ado, let's hand it off to Danny and have him take a closer look at the Khaki Pilot Pioneer.
The watch collecting community tends to focus on Hamilton's contributions to field watches, but what often gets overlooked is the brand's contributions to horology via pilot's watches. Its aviation history is strong, and today we're looking at an unsung hero in the modern collection, the Hamilton Khaki Aviation Pilot Pioneer. It's got plenty of vintage swagger, but not in a manner that rigidly tries to replicate the past. Rather, it's executed in a way that reimagines all the best parts of classic pilot's watches, updated for the way we live with a mechanical timepiece in the modern world. And yes, I fully realize how that sounds, speaking about a mechanical watch as something other than the archaic piece of retro technology it is. Such is the mindset of a watch enthusiast. I mean, that's why we're all here, isn't it? So let's get into the 38mm Hamilton Khaki Aviation Pilot Pioneer. When the Hamilton Khaki Aviation Pilot Pioneer first launched in 2021, it came out in two different versions. One in 43mm, pretty large if I might say so myself, and the 38mm version we'll be looking at in today's review. Certainly, the big mechanical version provides something more akin to what pilots in the early days of aviation might have worn. But unless you possess the wrists of an action hero, 38mm is going to be a far more livable daily driver. 43mm is creeping into the territory of IWC's mid-size big pilot's watches, so unless your name is John Cena, trust me on this. The dimensions are sized right in the sweet spot for most average-sized wrists, a 38mm diameter, a trim case height of 11.4mm, and a proportional 46mm lug-to-lug. Hamiltons sometimes skew towards the longer end of things in that lug-to-lug metric, so this compact measurement is welcome news. The stainless steel case features a fully brushed finish, a tool watch appropriate choice that nails the brief, and the finishing is refined in its execution, especially at its price point of just over $1,000. Hamilton's finishing is truly well done, something that often goes unnoticed, so I think it's worth calling out. The first clue that we're not dealing with a traditional pilot's watch, at least not one that follows early 20th century design cues, is the bidirectional rotating countdown bezel, which features a khaki on black colorway, a coin edge bezel, and a mineral crystal insert. At first blush, you'd swear this was some sort of steampunk dive watch, until you notice the numbers are going in the opposite direction. No, this bezel is used for counting down to an event, something that turns out to be, believe it or not, surprisingly useful in daily life. Likewise, the countdown bezel makes it a cinch to know when it's time to feed the meter. Like I said, useful. A detail that does call out to early pilot watch designs is the oversized crown, which most will call an onion shape, but really it's more conical, with a squared off edge that makes it far easier to grip. It almost looks like a jewel in profile, and it pushes into the case to offer a somewhat surprising 100 meters of water resistance, a big number for your typical pilot's watch. A sapphire crystal caps off the face of the watch, featuring a dose of anti-reflective coating that allows a better view of the uniquely textured dial below. Around back, a screwed-in caseback gets a display window showcasing a view of the automatic movement. The circular brush perimeter is engraved with the relevant specs, proclaiming both its watertightness and Swiss-madeness. The means of attachment come via a handsome brown leather strap with a simple 2-stitch execution in a contrasting off-white thread. It's a classic look that suits the watch perfectly, effortlessly matching your vintage bomber jacket. The strap terminates in a substantial signed stainless pin buckle, which I find far less fiddly than a deployant clasp. Frankly, a deployant doesn't usually make sense in this price tier, as most attempts fall short of the more finely constructed and engineered clasps from higher-end Swiss brands. More budget-conscious deployants always seem to leave you wanting in terms of daily usability, and they're usually more hassle than their swing-and-a-miss attempt at luxury is worth. Thankfully, lug width is an even 18mm, so if your heart is set on a deployant, have at it. But this watch will look great on any number of straps in rustic tones, including vintage-look leather, tan or olive green canvas, and even NATO-style fabric straps in muted colors. Next, we come to the dial, which isn't exactly pilot's watch perfect. In fact, it's kind of a mismatch of vintage design cues, but my goodness if I don't think it's good looking in its execution. The 38mm Pilot Pioneer is now available in 3 colorways, including the dark green and maroon versions with ivory dials released in 2025. But for this exercise, we're sticking to the more versatile and classic black. The charcoal black grain dial hasn't a hint of gloss anywhere, but a slightly rough texture that looks worn by the passage of time. And the printed dial elements have an aged look with an unbleached linen tone. You may have your opinions on Fotina, but here it's a perfect match for the grained black backdrop. The distinctive shape of the Arabic numerals has its inspiration in Hamilton's history, matching the hour markers of the famed Model 23 pocket chronograph from the time of the Second World War. The railroad minute track is also lifted from that pocket watch, and these design cues somehow work with the 60s era Hamilton H and italic wordmark. The rest of the dial's text is thankfully minimal, with just khaki automatic and Swiss made balancing the remainder of the dial, with nary an ill-conceived date window in sight. The cathedral handset is another throwback bit of detail, and contains the same old radium superluminova as the dial elements. The plain silver second hand is a curious spear-tip counterweight, but it shouldn't cause much confusion, as the business end meets the outer track perfectly. Hamilton's corporate connections pay dividends, as they're a sibling to the ETA manufacturer. The H-10 in the khaki aviation Pilot Pioneer is a well-regarded caliber that frequently shows up throughout their catalog, and for good reason. It's essentially a modified ETA C07.611, a reliable platform that serves as the base for many of the Swatch Group's movements. The big story with the H-10 is that, along with other variants of the Powermatic 80 calibers, it possesses an ultra-long power reserve of, you guessed it, 80 hours. A slower 3 Hz beat rate, which equates to 21,600 vibrations per hour, is the primary reason for that holiday weekend's worth of reserve. The H-10 features both hacking and hand winding, a Nivacron balance spring for improved resistance to magnetism, and 25 joules. Hamilton's movement finishing is simple, clean, and nice to look at, which isn't always the case at this price tier. The semi-skeletonized rotor is engraved, and features a cutout spiky H logo as a nice detail. We've talked about the H-10 and the other various Powermatic movements found within the Swatch Group before, and there are some compelling reasons for their popularity. Their proven reliability, very respectable factory regulation, and a level of fit and finish that punches above their price point. Now we're going to look at the pros and cons of this watch, and as usual, I'm going to begin with the cons. The first con kind of goes to where you are as a purist in the watch world, as this is not an authentic vintage pilot's watch look. But I kind of suppose that's the point of this watch. One legitimate gripe could be that the old radium superluminova does feel a bit underpowered here. Now moving on to the pros. We have a smart and very attractive mashup of old and new, along with a great wearable 38mm size. A countdown bezel is a lot more useful than you realize, and the crown here is a joy to use. You get 100 meters of water resistance, and you don't have to worry about a date window to muck up the dial aesthetics, just pure symmetry. You get a solid performing movement with a big power reserve, and this watch does almost everything well and looks handsome as hell doing it. Overall, with the khaki aviation Pilot Pioneer, Hamilton has distilled down a certain kind of vintage pilot's watch aesthetic. No, it's not for purists, but it does a great job of calling back to Hamilton's history, and it wears and looks fantastic.
All right, guys, well, that's all we have for this video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Really do appreciate that. That does help us on this channel. But also, if you are in the market for the watch, it is available on TeddyBaldassarre.com. Every purchase from TeddyBaldassarre.com comes with quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. In addition, how we're able to keep doing what we're doing here on a day-to-day basis for the video content, the editorial content, and written content that we have on the site and all on social is through selling watches. So if you are in the market for a watch, we'd absolutely love to have your business. Allows us to keep doing what we're doing here, and we love what we do. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.